So I think that, it's going to be, as I said, the change in American policing is going to be, probably one police officer at a time, one heart at a time. Small cities can make big changes very, very quickly. And I think that, as I wrote a blog this morning that said, maybe I'm wrong, but is not the question out there from people of color, when are you going to stop killing us? Isn't that what's being asked? And how are we answering that? And I know sooner got the plug out that a very close friend of mine. Did I tell you that story before? Was it here that she called me and she said a black friend of hers?
Say it again. Yeah.
Okay.
Do the story again,
called her on the phone, and she'd worked with him for years. And he said to her, just after George Floyd was killed, they got on the phone together, and he said, my daughter just called me. My 20-something-year-old daughter just called me, and she said, Dad, when are they going to stop killing us? And I think that's a reasonable question today, and I think there's an answer out there. You got to raise the standard. We just can't do this. We cannot use deadly force to stop a kid who is mentally ill with a knife running down the street in our town. We've got to figure out something else. They don't kill those people, and I've seen enough videos in Europe. They don't kill people who are mentally ill who have sharp objects in their hands.
Yeah.
They just don't do that, and I don't think we can justify that. So I have said, well, if it's really, really dangerous, why can't we train on less than lethal shooting? And you think that I took away the Holy Grail and hid it. Well, we cannot do that. Well, European police, a number of them train on less than deadly shooting. And you mean to say that you've got a clip of 14 rounds right here, 14 rounds, and you couldn't shoot somebody in the leg? No. They say, no, we can't. No. Center mass shooting. And that's why all these shootings end in deaths, because all the training is center mass. And that's where the heart and lungs are.
Okay. And then the center, why aren't they training to shoot in the leg? Just because? That's just because the training is to shoot in the center of the mass?
Because if the person has a gun or a knife or something, he could still hurt you even if he's on the ground, type of thing. It's that, we have to have total control. Now the interesting thing is, please, the one, my great gift and my great burden is I've got all this lengthy experience from so many years. So we used to train when the only weapon we had to the firearm in the squad car was the shotgun. Okay. So yeah. So now it's the the semi-automatic rifle. But anyway, with shotguns, we would train in skipping buckshot rounds into the legs of people who had weapons.
And that was you training as a police officer. That was you training as a police officer to shoot people in the leg with buckshots and shotgun.
That's right.
Okay.
So there's no more buckshot around, and
so now you can't really do that training anymore because you're not using that weapon.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
We've got AR-15s. So I think since 9/11, when we were expected to have terrorist attacks at least on a weekly basis, we started outfitting police with a lot of extra weaponry, and that's where the mine-resistant armored vehicles came into communities, and so we had that iconic shot of Ferguson in 2014 of the St. Louis SWAT team arriving with their armored vehicle and officers on top with automatic weapons pointed at a protesting crowd.
Yeah.
Which had the authority under our Constitution. Our Constitution and Bill of Rights tell us that we have a right to assemble and petition the government to redress grievances. That was a really shocker. than I think many people saw. But what's happened since that time? It's been 6 years now.
Yeah. I mean, no, we are, I don't know. We're in a very scrambled time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to close this out with some optimism. Like I said,
Sure.
This is kind of part one before we jump into part two of just your own kind of career.
Sure.
But what do you think are kind of the easiest? Okay, yeah. So here's the two questions. There's kind of small policing and then your larger cities. And I kind of mentioned like the opportunity for win-win solutions of both policing, but then also community, right? So, I don't want police to just get defunded. They don't have any more money, whatever. They're the bad guys now, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But where do you think the win-win opportunities are in small communities and your larger municipalities for just creating constructive change and safer cities and stuff like that?
All right. I've thought a lot about this, Joe, and I think it goes like this. If we, if community leaders, citizens, and cities are saying, well, what can we do? What can we do now? What I would like to see if I had my dream is, let's take a city like Minneapolis, and you say, or any city, even Madison here. Hey, look we need to do a stand down. The military does stand downs. For example, if I remember one time I was orderly to a captain of our aircraft carrier, and he used to go into to fly at a base, and it was in California. And we came into the Naval Air Station, and it was shut down. And so I'm hearing the conversation, and the base commander came out to my captain. He said, well, we're shutting down. We've got some problems with some of the aircraft. So nobody's flying until we figure out how to solve this problem. Okay, a stand down. Well, I think a lot of our cities need to stand down. And it would be like this: if I was, if I was king of the world, this is what I would say. Look, let's take a week and let's stand down and let's ask our surrounding municipalities to take our police calls for us. As a sheriff would come in, and we all need to get together, and we're going to spend a couple of days in a big convention center. Of course, this would have to be post-COVID, and we're gonna listen. We're gonna listen to the community. We're gonna listen to what they have to say, and officers, we're gonna say nothing. We're gonna listen, and we're gonna take notes, and we're not gonna get angry, and we're not gonna stand up and be defensive. We're gonna listen to what is the kind of police they want in their communities and for their kids. What does that look like? What does it look like to have a number of people who are going to enforce the rules and laws of a democratic, free and diverse democratic society such as ours? And let's listen to that, and then let's talk amongst ourselves what we've heard, and let's make a proposal to the community, get back together and say, look, this is what we think we can do. Would you support us in doing this?
So first, kind of having that listening section of, hey, let's just let people talk because we're here to serve the community anyways, and then come back with, okay, well, these are potential solutions to solve that. But there's I completely agree with you. Where
that should be ongoing. A good police agency should do this all the time.
Yeah, and even just I feel like the biggest gap. There's a really large gap of just communication, which creates these different silos, right?
Yes.
That there's community over here and there's police over here, and they're two separate islands. When it's really, it's really the same system, same people, right? Those police are going even to sleep in those communities.
Now, having said that, what worries me is the polarization that goes on within our society right now. That people are going to take sides. I'm in favor of the warrior cops. Well,
Yeah.
we're in favor of the guardian cops. Well, what do you? Well, you're no good, and we don't like you. And
Yeah.
and we're in the midst of a national model right now of polarization, where we demonize the other side, not by their facts or by their argument, but because we think they're bad people. So we use the ad hominem. I'm not going to listen to you because well your kind of people aren't very good. And that's the danger we're in right now. And look at our Congress. I mean, so if we know who we are, so we need to break the mold and be a nation that listens to one another respectfully, celebrates our differences and really understand that it is diversity. That used to be one of our mottos in Madison. Diversity is our strength. Diversity is never a weakness. Diversity is a strength, because that's why we are so effective in doing the policing function, is because we are a diverse group of men and women.
To go back to, and we're about to close this out, so thanks for at least this part one. Don't worry,
Sure.
Part two is going to be a lot shorter, but
we're going to do part two.
Yeah. Part two is just the individual stuff. Don't worry, it's going to be like,
okay.
It's just kind of your individual career and how you even decided to do this. But kind of to close this out, so it would be nice to have a mass, right? A big convention, lots of communication, lots of problem solving. But then, the easy argument back is, well, there's no budget, that's too hard. And so I'm wondering, what is the kind of, the smaller thing that wouldn't require so much logistics? Yeah. And if that's just like, going to more like small community meetings,
sure.
Like what's like the small version of that big solution?
Yeah. So I used to say that any organization over 500 individuals is unmanageable.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gets too big. It has its own culture. If we had to do two things, number one is we raise the standard for use of deadly force to the European standard of absolute necessity. And then we would specifically require police officers to intervene if somebody is doing something that's going to embarrass them, cause them to be disciplined, lose their job, or go to prison. And that we would buy into, if I am ever in that situation, I want you to do that to me too. Now, I say that, please say how much they love each other. I'd say, well, if you really loved each other, if you really honored and respect one another, you would make this pledge to each other that you would intervene before someone got into trouble.
Yeah, no, it's a really simple thing, and it is like, it's kind of what you need teamwork for anyways, is you need people to help
exactly.
Watch each other's backs.
That's right. If you're a team, that should fit really good. Yeah. And the guy who did that in Minneapolis was a SWAT team supervisor. His name was Mike Quinn, and he took the SWAT team, which had all kinds of complaints against them. And the time that he was the commander, he did this peer intervention thing because they were a team, and we did care for one another, and no complaints, no citizen complaints after that.
Perfect.
I mean, if you see another officer start to get upset and start getting the fuse pretty short, you can, if you interview early, you don't really have a complaint from the citizen. It's just if you let it go too far and somebody gets injured, then there's trouble.
Well, thanks. So this is the end of this kind of section. Don't worry, the next section is going to be really short, but it's just about kind of your own, like it's your own kind of career and how you found what you love to do and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm going to end this call.
All right, sounds good, Joe. All right, thanks a lot. Enjoy talking to you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.